Ooh. I got some notes about hate losing tilt too from the mental game of poker, and I realized I would get really pissed about losing pugs because of my elo. It's like fuck, there goes my elo. The thing is with like the elo, the way in the mental game of poker, the guy he talks about money. Man, that voice right. He talks about money. Wow, what the fuck? In the mental game of poker, he talks about money and how people like hate losing money when they're playing poker. But he was saying it's like a business, right? If you're Walmart and you're selling a laptop and someone has like if they have like a 30-day return a money back guarantee, if they buy that laptop, the 800 bucks they spent on the laptop is not Walmart's money until after that 30 days is up, right? Same goes for your elo. If you win a match, like that elo is not yours until you can prove it that it's yours and it stays there for like 2-3 months. That's how you kind of have to look at your elo. You have to look at it as like money, and you also have to look at it as an investment as well. So like say you lose a game, look at that elo as I lost 18 25 elo to learn from my mistakes, to improve myself for the future. You have no control over the short run of how much elo you gain or lose, but what you do have control on is the long run. Constantly just improve yourself. I guarantee you, bro, the elo will come. Elo will come. The other thing you do too is like when it comes to like losing the matches, just put your focus on what you can control. You can't win every game. I think Simple doesn't even have more than a 60% win rate, and he's the best player in the world. If you think that at some point eventually you'll get good enough to always win, that is a logical fallacy. It is impossible. I don't care who you are. You are never going to win every single game. The only thing you can focus on is what you do, your actions. So put your W's, what you consider a win, as just you playing your best. That's the only thing you control. Just qualitative results, things you have direct control over. If you go into games and being like, with the idea of like, I want to win this so I get elo, you're gonna get pissed if you lose. But if you go in games like, I'm gonna play my best, then you won't get as mad when you lose because you played your best. Just put focus on things that you have absolute control over, which is your own actions. But yeah, the whole thing of like losing is the hate losing tilt has to go with like how you handle losses and also how you handle the wins as well. That's what people seem to forget. But how you handle the wins as well, like what you tell yourself when you win, right? Another thing can be like my mom does this a lot, but if she's like playing chess and she beats someone, she goes, oh, that guy's an idiot, I'm so much smarter than him or something. And then when she loses, she gets fucking pissed and she's like, oh, I'm an idiot now. It's like, yeah, because that's the logic you decided to place on the value of winning and losing. If you have this belief that if you win you're smart, if you lose you're an idiot, you're only gonna feel good when you win. You're gonna feel really bad when that shit smacks you in the face when you lose. So it's like you gotta recognize like how you handle winning and losses, and that fixes the way you handle the way you tilt when you inevitably lose. It goes both ends. You gotta handle both correctly. The other thing too is when you lose elo, I feel like another reason I would get tilted as well is because there's like this belief, they even talk about it in the mental game of poker, that when you lose games there's like this logical fallacy that losing elo or losing rank means that you're losing skill, which is just not true. That's not how skill works. You don't just suddenly lose it. If the skill that you have is down to an unconscious competence level where you don't even have to think about it, it's near impossible to lose it. You can go years without playing and come back and it'll still be there. It's just how the brain works. But yeah, let's run with that belief though, that winning games makes you better and losing game makes you worse, right? Let's say you get like a fucking toddler in a game and he has 4 pros with him and he wins. He gained elo. With that same logic, that kid's now better than you, right? Or now he just gained skill, when in reality he didn't gain any skill. So you have to disconnect the results from how you view yourself and your level of skill. They're not connected. There is no connection between your level of skill and your results. Don't think that losing elo or gaining elo makes you better as a player or worse as a player. That's a logical fallacy to have, and it sets you up for failure. Also, what the guy says too, like this whole feeling of like feeling like you lost your skill when you lose, it's because if you end up getting tilted because you're losing a game, the tilt itself puts you in a high emotional state. And just the way the brain works, if you're in a high emotional state, your critical thinking shuts down, creative processes also shut down as well, and all you have is just unconscious skills that you have access to. So pretty much if you end up tilting, you lose access to the things that you were in the process of learning of, things that you don't have down unconsciously yet, and you lose access to these skills. So then you actually do end up playing worse while you're losing if you let yourself get upset by the loss. And it makes it appear like, wow, I'm playing worse than I was before. But the only reason you're playing worse than you were before is because you're tilted, because you're mad about losing. And that tilt basically wipes your creative processes in the time being until you're no longer upset, and it makes you play worse. But yeah, the other thing he was saying that why you feel like you're losing your skill when you lose games is because you don't recognize the skills that you already have down to an unconscious level. By definition, having something down to an unconscious level means you don't have to think about it in order to do it. Because you don't have to think about something, it's not in your mind that you're already good at something. So let's say me and IGLing. Because I've IGL'd so much, I'm probably really good at it unconsciously. And I don't recognize how good I am at it because I don't have to think about doing it. It just happens. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Because you have something down mastered, by definition, you don't have to think about it. And so if you're not thinking about it, you're not recognizing what you're good at, and it feels like you're just playing worse. All right, this is not the end of the video. I had some other things to talk about for hate losing tilt. If you can't tell, my voice sounds different. It's because I'm sick right now. I got some pretty bad mocos. I've been sneezing all day. But yeah, another reason why you might end up hate losing so much is because you might have like ego involved in your game and in the wins. And essentially what ego is, it's a defense mechanism. It's a coping mechanism for insecurity or, you know, just feeling bad in general. What ends up happening is sometimes people, I don't know, I guess they just don't like themselves, or they have some type of insecurities. It could be in the game, outside the game, about themselves, whatever it is. And the way the body will cope with this is by comparing yourself to other people. Essentially, people with big egos are insecure and they end up looking for reasons to like themselves externally versus internally. If this is you, you might find like a need to win games. I know I've struggled this in the past where I needed to win matches in order to feel good about myself, or to feel good about myself as a player. There's like several insecurities involved in that. Just be aware that ego can get tied into it, and it's not a good thing. I hear people talk about how it's like it's good to have egos. It's not a good thing. It actually just screws you over. It takes a lot more work to not have an ego, but it's way more beneficial. And essentially how to get rid of your ego is to deal with the root problem of the insecurity itself. And so whatever the reasons are that you're insecure, you might think you're a bad player, you might think you're unworthy or ugly, whatever the fuck it is, dude. Like, everyone's got insecurities, but you gotta sit with that insecurity, sit where it comes from, you know, challenge it, you know, let yourself mourn, grieve, whatever like the emotions come up from that insecurity itself. You know, you could have been told you're ugly when you're 8 years old or something that just stuck with your whole life. I know that's some shit that I've had to struggle with before. And yeah, it's really about like helping yourself with your own insecurities, and that lets you detach yourself from the ego, which allows you to detach yourself from the results of matches, your wins and losses, and actually just play the game to enjoy it. Which, you know, if you're playing the game to enjoy it, you're more focused, you're playing better. In turn, you'll probably end up winning more, and in turn, you won't get mad when you lose. It's just a win all around. You feel better about yourself, you play better, you learn faster, you're more focused. There's like no reason not to do it, except for the fact that it takes a lot of work, and that work is emotional work, you know, sitting with yourself, crying if you have to, you know, and seeing where a lot of these insecurities come from. It's way easier said than done. I'm really simplifying this. If you're more interested in learning how to like get rid of your ego, I'd suggest looking at Healthy Gamer, a lot of his videos. I have some other videos before about like insecurities and stuff like that, but this 100% goes within the game, and a lot of people neglect this. And this is something I want to focus on with my channel is, you know, the mental aspect of the game and the psychological aspect that a lot of people neglect, because all they think is it's all about aim and game knowledge, when it goes way beyond that. So hopefully this video helps, and yeah, hopefully you like it, man. Have a good day.